New ultra-fast experience farm for Minecraft Bedrock Edition. This tiny little farm can get you to level 100 in 27 seconds, which means that you can get to level 1000 in under an hour. You can customize how much experience you get from it if that's too much for you to handle, and this experience farm is cheap and super easy to build. Once you have this, you'll never need another experience farm again. So this right here is the entire build. It is literally a 5x5x5 cube. There's nothing else to see here, folks. And as soon as you throw yourself an infestation potion onto those allays, that is going to shoot out just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands of silverfish. And if we go into survival mode, you can see just how quickly you rack up the experience. Now, clearly, this is a very, very fast farm, but you'll notice that this has actually got a lot of allays in there. It's not even really that laggy. If you don't look at the build, then you're not going to see all those particles, and the silverfish die so quickly that you never have that many that are actually alive. So obviously, this kind of seems like witchcraft, doesn't it? But the top of this build is very normal. This is pretty much just a standard silverfish experience farm. However, down at the bottom, you'll notice that we have some newfangled technology. So what we have going on here is you're just shooting a standard bow. It doesn't need any enchantments or anything like that. And then we're using arrows or tipped arrows. Now, normally an arrow on the ground will despawn after a minute. Now, if you just fire this arrow into a bubble column, then technically it's still in flight and it's never going to despawn. It's never going to fall down. It's never going to run around and desert you. And basically, it's just a perfect mob killer. Now, the issue is that it can only work if it's a one-hit kill. So if you try to use this for like a creeper, for example, as you can see, the arrow just hits the creeper, does a little bit of damage, and then gets absorbed. But the cool trick about this is that if you use this on low health mobs, such as silverfish or fish or ghast, then it's actually a one-hit kill, as you can see there, and the arrow is completely unaffected. Now, because this is a player arrow, that means that you get experience from the mob, as you just saw there, and it also applies the looting effect to every mob that you kill. So this is basically just a different type of trident killer, but by using arrows instead of tridents, it's way cheaper. We can kill things a lot quicker, and that makes it so that we can insta-kill essentially as many silverfish as you could possibly get in there. And when I say as many as you can get in there, we're just going to turn on the auto clicker real quick, spawn in all these guys, and yeah, you can see that absolutely every single one of them dies. And that's the secret to how we can have 50 allays in this farm, spinning out hundreds of silverfish a second and getting us to over 100 levels in 30 seconds. So these amazing arrow killers were worked on and discovered by a bunch of different people like Goretofame, the Bedrock Mob Farming Discord, the Tristone Society, and Onion. They put a lot of work into working out the mechanics of these things and making them really easy and reliable. So huge thanks to them. This is some awesome tech. Now, two last notes. You might have noticed that we are using fire in this build to harm the allays, and that is because it is much faster than using a campfire. If you give both of these allays the infestation effect for the same duration of time, as you see, the fire one just produces a lot more silverfish. In fact, it's about double. Also, there's been a bug fix. Allays no longer die in fire, so they will stay in here and be alive forever, meaning that we don't need to toggle the fire on and off. And you know what? It's not torture, because clearly they're fine. If you enjoy these kinds of Bedrock tutorials, then drop a like, share around the video, and subscribe. If you're lucky, you might be our 700,000th subscriber. Thank you so much, and let's hop into the tutorial. So the materials that you'll need for this build is everything in this chest right here. As you can see, it is very simple and cheap. There's a full list down in the description for your convenience. A quick guide on the potion brewing. To make the infestation potions is really easy. You just need netherwort, stone, and gunpowder, and that will give you the splash potions of infestation. You need one of these for every 3 minutes that you want to use the build, and 3 minutes is going to give you a lot of experience. Now, to make the actual harming tipped arrows, this is really easy. You just need a netherwort, a regular spider eye, a fermented spider eye, and then some glowstone dust, and that's going to give you these potions of instant damage too. Now, you're going to want to get 3 of these and put all 3 of them into an empty cauldron at one time. As you can see, that's going to completely fill it up, and then click on that cauldron with a stack, a full stack of arrows, and that's going to give you 64 of these instant damage 2 arrows. You don't need lingering potions or dragon's breath or anything complicated. And one last mini guide to actually breed up your allays. You're going to want to find these guys originally in either a pillager outpost or a woodland mansion. Bring them hold. You can just, lead them, and you got to crouch to lead them now. But once you get one of these guys, then you can just copy and duplicate them. You need a jukebox, any music disc, disc, and then you feed them an amethyst shard, and then he's just going to replicate instantly. And then I'd recommend tying these guys down to a bunch of fence posts in the areas. Now, you can put as many allays in there as you want. To get the full 100 levels in 30 seconds, you need 50 allays, which is way more than I would ever personally do. I'd recommend that you start off with 5 or 10, and then, you know, you can work your way up from there if you feel like it. But remember, this farm's going to be running for a full 3 minutes at a time, so if you can't handle that, then don't put too many allays in there. So building the structure of the farm is really easy. It's going to be 5 blocks wide, 5 blocks deep, and 5 blocks above the ground. Now, I would highly recommend that you go ahead and chunk align this build. That way it is fully within one chunk. This farm right here is on a chunk border, and as you can see, it's got some issues. Now, there is 50 allays in there, so do with that information what you will. I don't think it's going to be as bad if you don't have that many allays. But be aware, that is something that will happen. Now, because we're using fire, the allays will naturally die if they fly out of the farm, so you shouldn't have an issue with that. And also, these guys do naturally despawn if you're more than 44 blocks away. So if there is a catastrophic nuclear meltdown, just walk away. Just walk away. If you don't know how to find chunk borders, I'll have a video linked down below for you. So we're going to start by placing in the outer walls. I'm going to be using glass blocks for this because it is very good to be able to see into your farm. Make sure those arrows are still there. They should never despawn, but you want to make sure when you're having this many mobs in place. So go ahead and put in some glass blocks on the lower 2 layers. And then we need 3 water buckets going across the bottom in the diagonal. All of those should now be bubbles. And now we're just going to put a water bucket in this corner, and in this corner, and in that corner, and now we have water sources going across this entire area. Now we're going to place buttons across the 3 back blocks right there, 1 on the left and right, and then 3 on the front sides right here. This is going to make sure the top layer of this water is actually water and not a bubble, and this allows us to, you know, throw the arrows in there and not have as much lag. And now we're just going to put a couple of glass blocks in the middle right here. So if you're playing with fire spreads on, then you'll need to use a piece of netherrack or a magma block right here to have the fire persist forever and not go out. But if you're playing with fire spread turned off, then you can just use like a regular solid block. Now that we have this block in place, we need 3 temporary blocks going up above that. You can remove your bottom 2, and we need a dispenser facing straight down right here with the opening on the bottom. This is a dispenser, not a dropper. So you can remove this block and put in another temporary block right there. We just need to surround this with upper slabs going all the way around the build, as you can see here, and then remove that. So now we're going to install the allays inside this build. So break out one of the corner slabs. We're going to place in a solid block down right here. Use an activator rail right here. This is an activator rail, not a powered rail. So when we put a minecart on top of this and then power that, it should shake, and if you try and get into it, it's just going to kick you out of here. Now, it's going to place you up on one of these slabs right here as long as you don't have any other blocks in the area. Like if you have a block right there, it just kicks you right there. Now, the allay is a lot smaller, so it should get kicked right on top of that piece of netherrack. So what you want to do is you want to get yourself the allays, give this guy like a piece of cobblestone or something, and then just throw a bunch of that onto there. And then, as you can see, he got into the minecart. It was on, so it got ejected into the hole right there. To show you that a little bit better, you give the guy the cobblestone, and then you throw some on the minecart right there. Give him a couple seconds, and he should just fly straight into the minecart. You might need to try it a couple of times, you know, it depends on what angle he comes into this thing at. But if he comes in from, like, the bottom, then usually he'll get into it. And then, as you see, if we power that, boom, he should get ejected straight in there. Now, how many allays you put in there determines the race of your farm. Again, I'd recommend that you start with 10. You can always add more later, but taking them out might be difficult, especially if they are holding items. You might have to use, like, harming potions or a lava bucket or something. So once you're done putting allays into the build, just go ahead and remove your cart and that block and go ahead and put your slab back in place. And now we're going to actually install the arrows in here. So you want to go and crouch, that way you can fit underneath these slabs. And you want to fire one not directly into the corner, but you want to go in by like a few pixels. So it's like kind of off center towards the corner, because these guys are going to bunch up in the corners and around the edges. Now you just want to like real quick lightly tap your bow. That way it fires the arrow, but you're not firing it full strength. If you fire it full strength, it just runs into the ground and it's not going to do anything besides despawn. So just lightly tap your bow and go to each one of the corners, fire it in. That's like basically a perfect position. Go to each one of these edges and fire one in right there. And just do this going all the way around. That should just be 8 arrows in total. Now you can add more arrows, but it's not really going to increase the killing speed because, again, it's an instant kill. So now that your arrows are in place, you need to choose which side your AFK platform is going to be on. And I'm just going to choose this side. It's just going going to be like a little platform of 3 blocks, and then you can leave a little, you know, cut corner right here for you to stand in to collect the experience. Your glass walls can go up to the layer of your slabs, going all the way around. So that's what your glass should look like at the top of this thing. Just go ahead and put in 3 solid blocks right here, and then you want in yourself a button under here to actually activate your dispenser, 3 pieces of redstone dust, and then just go ahead and cover up the entire rest of this build with some glass blocks to actually help contain those silverfish so they don't fly out. And then for your AFK spot, just go ahead and put in 4 glass panes, 2 at those layers and 2 more on the sides. That way you have a nice little nook that you can stand into, collect all of the experience, and the silverfish can't hurt you. And even the experience on the far back side of the build will be attracted to you so that you don't lose any. So there's no fire inside of your allays right now, so what you want to do is put the flint and steel inside of your dispenser, press your button. That's going to light them all on fire. They're going to love it. They're having a great time. It's basically a spa day for them. And then just go ahead and fill this thing up with your infestation potions. Now again, these arrows are tied to the person who shoots them, so you do not use this if they're not online, because I'm pretty sure it won't work, and then you're gonna have a real big problem, and you'll just have to walk away from it to despawn those guys. But assuming that you shot those, and assuming those guys are on fire, now you can go ahead and give them the infestation effect, and as you see, you're just gonna have an absolute ton of these guys spawn in. Now again, this is going to run for a solid 3 minutes straight, so be prepared to stand here and just collect all of that experience. I mean, look at this. It's absolutely wild. So if we stand here for 3 minutes, as you can see, it's just going to give us tons and tons and tons of experience. And this is only with 10 allays. And as you see, the farm is done running. With 10 allays, we got to level 130 in 3 minutes. Absolutely wild. Now, if another player wants to use this build, they're going to have to actually break into this thing and fire their own arrows. So basically, the best way to do that is to like break out these 3 blocks. That arrow's going to come out, maybe even hit you, but you'll be able to pick it up off the ground. Then you can fill in your wall blocks again, go back up into here, crouch, put your button back, that's important, and then fire yourself a new arrow. It's not convenient, but, I mean, you could just build multiple of these to be real. If you enjoyed this Bedrock tutorial, then drop a like, share around, and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. So, in theory, this is fairly safe for realms and servers. Okay, I do need to fix this. Okay. Oh god. Oh no, oh shoot!